evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 12,900 subscribers. And of course, if you could click the like button early doors, I would be incredibly grateful. We need to come together here in this moment of deflation and do what we can to help each other out. So please do click the like button. Plenty of you here, plenty to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the Everton game. We've got to get ourselves back up for the Crystal Palace games, 2 of them this week. And some interesting little bits of news, transfer gossip that's doing the rounds. Some of it will send people's heads to Mars, but we will talk about it nonetheless. Hyper, Jakob, Dark Arts, Ryan, Vivi, Vlad, Emil, Lade, Wills at God, Leo, Hannah, Ross Lawman, Sywalder, Guna, Carter, Pekka. It is good to see you all. Just got tickets. I'm buzzing. Carter, you love to see it. I have also picked up my ticket for the Carabao Cup game on Wednesday night against Crystal Palace. I'm not expecting the atmosphere to be fantastic for that one, to be honest, but it's a game that we need to win, It's a game that we need to take seriously, and hopefully we do that. I swear if we get Rashford, I will lose my mind. We can't save everyone. I agree. I am not interested in signing Marcus Rashford. Tanvir, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. But look, the title of this live stream is I'm Calm. And I am calm. Calmer than a number, I think, of Arsenal fans that kind of lost it on Saturday, I think. And look, I'm frustrated. I'm immensely frustrated. I still feel pretty deflated. And I think everyone does. But I'm struggling to get behind the notion that a draw against Everton means we need to rip down everything, sack the manager, sack half the players, and start again. I feel like I said it even before the Everton game, that it feels like at the moment every result is a real, the emotions after it are really up and down. And I'm not that emotional, I think perhaps is the case. But Everton was an incredibly frustrating game. Everton were fresh. They'd had a 10-day break. We had played three games in that time. They had a plan. They stuck to the plan. And we didn't do enough to win the game, ultimately. It still felt like a game that 9 times out of 10 you win. And as an example, we only created just over 1 XG. But we had enough of the ball and we're getting into the box enough that, you just need something to fall for you. And other times it will. A great example, and we spoke about it on the watch-along for the Manchester derby yesterday, City barely created anything against Man United. But Kevin De Bruyne goes to put it across. It takes a wild deflection and lands perfectly on Gvardiol's head. Those little bits of luck, they're just not running our way at the moment. And that is frustrating. But I do think there's more that we can do. I think. Look, we'll bring up the stats from the game. I mean, you look at this. There was never any danger of us losing this game. In fact, there was so little danger of us losing this game that for me, I feel like we need to be braver. I feel like we need, and you look at the stats. I feel like we need to sacrifice some of the control that we have in order to break teams down more. And I put up a TikTok earlier of 2 examples where Ødegaard, on one of them particularly, he picks up the ball and we win the ball back. It's right at the start of the second half. We win the ball back. And at that point, Everton had actually committed a fair few players forward. In fact, there were 6 of them behind the ball, as in, closer to Arsenal's goal than their own goal relative to the ball, right? 6 of them out of play, which leaves 4 outfield players between us and the goal. And Ødegaard picked up the ball and turned, and he had multiple options. He could have played it straight into Kai Havertz. He could have fed it into Martinelli, who would have had a direct run at Ashley Young. He could have carried the ball himself, but he didn't. He took 2 sort of slow touches and then turned back on himself and played it backwards, and we started again. And I feel like there are too many of those moments at the moment. I feel like but there was a great example later in the game where Mars Lewis-Skelly picked up the ball, or maybe it was in the first half, this example, but Mars Lewis-Skelly picks up the ball facing towards our own goal. He's facing towards Saliba. And instead of just rolling it back to Saliba, which we would quite often do, he turns, he runs past one Everton player with the ball. He then plays it between two more Everton players into Ødegaard. And just in that one moment, he took out 3 Everton midfielders. And at that point, actually, this time, Ødegaard tried to play a first-time ball through to Kai Havertz with the outside of his foot. He got it wrong, and it didn't work out. But that was the sort of thing that I think we need to see more of. I think that's exactly it. Players seem to be afraid to take risks. And I do think that's an Arteta thing. And I do think, look, I'm happy to be critical of Arteta when I think he's getting things wrong. And one thing I do think is that he has focused too heavily on dominance and control. And when he comes out and says, you know, we did everything right to win that game, we didn't do everything right to win that game. Because we had 77% of the ball and only created 1.22 XG. So that's not doing everything right. And I feel like it's, you know, perhaps he's scarred from previous seasons. But, you know, I see sometimes that he reacts badly to Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey is one of those players that often does try to play the ambitious ball. And when it doesn't work out and we lose possession, Arteta reacts really badly to it. And I'm like, sometimes you've got to try that. You know, when we're struggling to break these teams down, you've got to try it. Need to cut Ødegaard some slack, just became a dad, and the title isn't gone. Yeah, look, I'm not blaming Martin Ødegaard. Like, look, I'll happily say I do think Martin Ødegaard's form has dropped a little bit, but he is a father to a newborn child. If you've ever witnessed someone, you know, a new father in a job or an office job or whatever, like they're tired. They're not able to concentrate as much. It's just the reality of it. So, but I do actually agree. I think in hindsight, taking him off was wrong. At the time, I understood it to an extent because I did feel like Ødegaard wasn't playing well. But I do think you look back and you go, why not just... Rice had to come off. Declan Rice had to come off because he was uncomfortable. And we don't know if that's going to be an injury that keeps him out of any particular length of time. But why not just bring Thomas Partey on in the 6, leave Ødegaard on and bring on Nwaneri, and just have a 6 and then have Nwaneri and Ødegaard and let them both play? Ødegaard is the sort of player that when you're struggling to break a team, like he can create something out of nothing. He can find a pass out of nothing. Remember Porto at home in the Champions League, where we were desperately trying to create chances against a Porto team that were the sat back and resolute, and he was the one that found that ball into Trossard. Like, he is capable of doing that. And so, yeah, look, you know, Arteta isn't perfect. But I'm calm. And Arsenal will be okay. Because these draws will be converted to wins. You know, draws are really costing us this season. 6 draws in the Premier League at this point. It is hurting us, 100%. But we just need that spark back. And one thing that we've got to do is make sure that this template for getting points against Arsenal doesn't become routine. And the more we drop points to teams playing in this way, the more teams will continue to do it against us. And I won't even lie, it is making it really difficult to watch Arsenal at the moment. Every game, well, not every game, but the vast majority of games, they feel like slogs. They're boring to watch. It's, you know, it's lots of possession. It's knocking the ball around, trying to break it. Like, it's not fun, exciting games of football. But I don't know what Arsenal are meant to do about that, really, in terms of if teams don't want to play against you, teams don't want to play against you. And City have dealt with that previously. And to be fair to City, they've overcome it most of the time. But we don't have a prime Kevin De Bruyne. You know, Ødegaard is not of the level of creativity of prime Kevin De Bruyne. Don't have Erling Haaland. We don't have a Sergio Aguero. And you need those sorts of players, really, when teams are playing like this against you. Still in all cups, third in the UCL. We've underperformed, but it's not all bad. This is what I'm saying. Yes, the Premier League is going to be difficult to win from here, 100%. But Liverpool are showing that they're capable of dropping points. Chelsea, they're doing well at the moment. I think they will drop points here and there at some point. We've done well in the Champions League, like genuinely just outright done well in the Champions League. And we're still in the Carabao Cup, and we've got the FA Cup third round coming up. So I feel like it's not all doom and gloom. It's just frustrating. And I really don't feel like sacking Arteta solves that problem at all. One thing I keep hearing a lot is, oh, but what if Slot or Maresca wins the title this season? It's like, yeah, but Mikel Arteta would have won the league twice if he had been coming up against this version of Man City. And it's so frustrating that we happen to be having our sort of dip the same season that Man City have completely fallen apart. It's unfortunate. It's annoying. It's frustrating. But I don't think Maresca or Slot are doing a better job with their teams than Mikel Arteta did in 22-23 or 23-24. Arteta's start in 22-23 was better than Slot's and better than Maresca's. And our points tally of 89 last season, I don't think Liverpool or Chelsea will achieve that this season. It's just unfortunate the way that it's fallen. Is that contributing to the dead atmosphere? I went last week and it was quiet. Is it the style of footy? It's a combination of things. One of them is the style of football. One of them, and I don't know if you saw this, right? There was a clip going around of one of the guys off AFTV. And he was stood outside the ground after the game. And he said, I came today because I thought it would be a big, fun win against Everton. And that in a nutshell is one of the biggest problems I think there is right now. Fans are only turning up to games expecting us to smash teams. Only turning up because they think we're going to smash teams. So you wouldn't have come to the game if you thought it was going to be a tough fixture. That's not support. That's like, that is the most fair weather fan you could possibly imagine. That's someone that barely even cares about football. They just, want to tune in when it looks good. Like, for me, that's a massive problem. But you can tell that a lot of people are turning up with that expectation. It's quiet at the start of the game. There's no intensity within the crowd. There's just an expectation that, we're going to win, we're going to score plenty of goals. And then when we don't, and the game starts getting on and we haven't scored goals, then there's like growing frustration within the crowd. I think it's a big problem. I do think it's a big problem. I hate the people who represent Arsenal like AFTV are just a disgrace to the club. Yeah, I don't want to tarnish AFTV all with the same brush, because there are various different people at AFTV. James, for example, at AFTV, I think generally speaking is very good. There were a number of clips that came out after this game that I thought were poor. Lee Judges, who I like, I thought it was a complete misjudgment on his part, what he said in regards to, if he had a gun and all that stuff. Like I said, the clip of saying you only go to games when you think there's going to be a big win, I think that's poor. Some of the people in the studio, like someone in the studio talking about, bashing Waneri and saying, well, he's old enough for the criticism, yada, yada, yada. I thought there were quite a few things that were poor. But look, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, I suppose. And from my perspective, I would say they don't feel like they're representing the fan base. When I give my opinion, it's representative of me. It's not representative of anyone else. But yeah, I thought there was an overreaction, to be honest, in general. Very simple for me. We don't have enough good ball strikers. Saka is the only one I can think of, and that's it. I think that's part of it, yeah. I think that is part of a problem. I look at, the ball fell back to Ødegaard twice. One from Marino that he blazed over the bar, and the second one from Saka, where he takes 2 touches and then Pickford saves it. I want someone running onto that, opening their body up, hitting it first time with power, crisp power. And we perhaps don't have enough of those. Has Arteta coached out Martinelli's individuality? Partially. Look, the Martinelli issue is probably the biggest issue I think we've got at the moment. And it's not just a Martinelli issue, it's a left-wing issue. I do genuinely think that's a more important problem to solve than striker. I think left-wing right now is more important to solve than striker. With Martinelli, yeah. I think being an absolute touchline winger doesn't suit him. I want him to be more central. But he's also just lost all of his confidence. You know, and I tweeted this. I tweeted this on Saturday. Every time I watch him in the pre-match warm-up, obviously they go through all of their drills, and a lot of that involves shooting, right? He's the most clinical of the bunch. I think he's probably more clinical than Saka. He's the most clinical of the bunch, and yet it's just not translating into games at the moment, and that's frustrating. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it is just that the role that he's had to do has sapped his confidence. I don't know, but I do think it's the biggest problem, because you look at, there was that one move where Saka literally takes on 5 Everton players down the right-hand side. And you're going, well, if 5 Everton players have been taken out of the game on one side of the pitch, you've got to get the ball to the other side of the pitch. But teams are happy to leave Martinelli out there 1v1 v Ashley Young. And that's a massive problem. If you've got, an incredible threat out on the left-hand side as well, you can't commit 5 players to taking out Bukayo Saka. And so I do think that that's something that we really have to work on. Did you think the Partey foul was a pen? Didn't really deserve the win overall, but the more I look at it, the more I think he's fouled before the ball is taken. Yeah, look, I didn't want to make it an excuse. Yes, I think the only way that he wins the ball in the way he does is because he has taken out Partey first. He has to take out Partey to win the ball like that. So I do think it's probably a foul. I think if that happens in the middle of the park, you get a free kick for it. It's one of those, realistically, as soon as it wasn't given on the field, it happened right in front of me, I'll be honest. As soon as it wasn't given, I didn't think VAR would overturn it, which is frustrating. Look, sometimes maybe you get that decision and you come away with a penalty and a win. But genuine question, did Arteta really think he could out-Dyche Sean Dyche, Dean of the Dark Arts, Master of Footballing Malevolence? Good question. Again, I do think that was part of the problem. One of the defaults of the way that we were attacking, and it's a route to scoring which has been relatively successful for us, but getting the ball to the kind of edge of the box, Saka or Martinelli, crossing it towards the back post. Now, we've had quite a lot of success doing that. The problem is Everton love that. Branthwaite and Tarkowski love that. There were a couple of set pieces we could have scored from, a couple of corners we could have scored from, but again, it just didn't fall our way. But look, overall, for me, I just think right now, relax. It will come good. That's my feeling. Looking forward to the 2 Crystal Palace games, by the way. Obviously, frustrating that suddenly Crystal Palace actually look decent. If we look at Crystal Palace, like if we played them a few weeks... I do feel like, and this isn't an excuse, people will take it as an excuse. It's not, but it is genuine context. I feel like we do keep catching teams at the wrong time. Everton, awful for most of the season, but we get Everton off the back of a win and a 10-day break. Crystal Palace, awful at the start of the season, but we get them off the back of 5 games without losing, including drawing against Villa, Newcastle, City, and beating Brighton away. Does just feel like we're just catching the wrong teams at the wrong moments, which is frustrating. But again, the game's the game. It is what it is. But Munoz, who is one of Crystal Palace's best players, in my opinion, will be missing for both of the games. He's actually suspended for both the Cup game and the League game. He's suspended for the Cup game because, in fact, we can probably go and look at it. He's suspended for the Cup game because in both of their League Cup games, Carabao Cup, this one, that he got booked against Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup, and where is it? Previous, and he got booked against Norwich City in the Carabao Cup. So he's suspended. So 2 yellow cards in the Carabao Cup gets you a suspension. He's also now got 5 yellow cards in the Premier League, which means he'll also be suspended for the Premier League game. So that is mildly useful because I do genuinely think he's a massive part of their team. I would have loved to play City away now rather than when we did. Yeah, another great example. another great example. You know, when we played Liverpool at home, if we played them when we didn't have basically none of our back four and Saliba suspended, like, if you get 30 million for Leandro Trossard, are you taking it if it means that we can get Semenyo in January? Yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I am indeed. Anyway, look, I want to move on to some of the stories that have come out today. One of these has come from TBR Football, Graham Bailey. It's not a great source. But he says Arsenal and Manchester City are doing work on left-back Maxim de Kuiper. Is it Kuiper? Is that how you pronounce it? Maxim de Kuiper? 23-year-old, ahead of a potential January deal. Both clubs have sent scouts to watch the player in Club Brugge's 2-0 win over Genk on Sunday. So we will look up Maxim de Kuiper. People's immediate reaction to this is going to be, why are we looking for a left back? Why are we looking for a left back who can play a right back? But, I mean, look, this looks decent. Greenery. Per 90. Decent output creatively. Really decent passing stats. Successful crosses, like that. Chance creation, like that. Dribble success, very good. High touches. Defensively, maybe not, but look at this. This is nice. So I'll be honest, never really seen him play. Not entirely sure that a left back is the priority right now. But he looks all right. So, and part of this is to do with the fact that Kivior is being linked to a move to Napoli. So I suppose if Kivior was to go to Napoli, you've then got Calafiori becomes definitely the backup left centre-back as well as being the left back. I expect Zinchenko and Tierney make their way on at some point as well. But it's just like, if we get into January and the only signing we make is a left back, the fan base that already want Arteta out and are already fed up, that will lose their heads completely. De Kuiper is a chance creation machine. Is White out for the season? No. Where did you hear that? Ben White should be back middle to end of January. He had an operation to clear up his knee. It went well. And I think the expectation is that he's going to be back, if anything, ahead of schedule. So I want us to take the EFL Cup seriously. This team needs to win something together. I think we should take it seriously. Look, realistically, we've got a nice draw. We've got Crystal Palace. Loopy, good to see you. We've got a nice draw. We've got Crystal Palace. We play Crystal Palace again at the weekend, meaning we know that they're going to have to either go all out in both, which is good for us because if they go all out midweek, it's beneficial for us playing them in the league at the weekend, or they don't, in which case we should just comfortably beat them on Wednesday and then beat them in the Premier League. So, yeah, I absolutely do think that we should go for it. Having an overlapping attacking fullback might actually be a good option off the bench to improve our attacking output. I agree. Look, one of the things that I thought we were going to benefit from or should have benefited from in the Everton game is Marino making those underlapping runs for Martinelli. And it happened again a couple of times. One of those runs ended up with a ball back to Ødegaard that went over, right? But when Everton are flooding the centre of the field, having an overlapping fullback would also be quite useful. Commentator said White out till the end of the season, but I think he meant the rest of the year. Yeah, no, the commentator's completely wrong. Marino looks slow to me. Well, he's not the fastest. Do you know what I can see happening, by the way? Sort of short / maybe more medium to long term. I can see Miles Lewis-Skelly becoming the left centre mid. I really can. Like, he's good at left back. The way he picks up the ball, the way he carries the ball, his vision, his weight of pass. He was a midfielder originally anyway. I can see Miles Lewis-Skelly becoming the left centre mid long term. Someone said something about... did you see Ramsdale was literally a pundit for TNT when his team was 5-0 down? Why? Yeah, well, he's injured, so they got him on as a pundit which isn't completely unheard of, to be fair. But yeah, when your team's 5-0 down at half-time, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. Anyway, another bit of news. This came from Simon Collins, so this is more reliable. Raheem Sterling has no plans to cut short his loan at Arsenal to seek more regular football elsewhere in the January transfer window, with the player determined to force his way into the team during the second half of the season. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that Raheem Sterling wants to stay. You know, the options what? Go back to Chelsea where they don't want him. Stay at Arsenal where, I mean, he's still earning 300, whatever, over 300 grand a week. So, does he really care? I mean, I do think it's a massive problem. Again, this ties into the Trossard-Martinelli problem, but the fact that we've got Raheem Sterling and Arteta has no interest in using him whatsoever, despite the fact that neither Martinelli or Trossard are giving us anywhere near what they need to be giving us. It was ultimately, it was a complete failure of a signing. Ultimately, we went into the summer, we all wanted at least a striker and a left winger, or one of them at least. We got neither. We got Raheem Sterling on loan, and it's just pointless. And yeah, but he might start tomorrow. Fine. But, in the Premier League, to be honest, again, if he doesn't offer you enough defensively, I don't care. At that point against Everton, we didn't need all of the control, so I don't care what he offers defensively. I want someone to come on who can do something. And Raheem Sterling, we saw it with Thomas Partey nearly winning a penalty, right? Everton were tired. It's so difficult to concentrate in the way that Everton have to concentrate in that game for 90 minutes. It's so difficult to mentally be there as well as physically. You bring Sterling on, he can win you a penalty. It's one of the biggest traits that he's got is winning penalties. I just feel like surely he can do something more than what we're seeing from Trossard and Martinelli. But, for whatever reason, Arteta doesn't want to do it. So, do you think we can see Martinelli as a rotation option for, where's that gone? With Havertz as a striker when we sign a new left winger? Yeah. I would like to see Martinelli more central at times. Do you know what I find interesting? The most difficult, in terms of the opposition that have played against us in that way, where they, really, they want to sit deep, they'll give us all the possession. Nottingham Forest are the team that are the best at doing that in the Premier League, because that's Nottingham Forest game plan against most teams is to let them have possession, sit deep, beat them in transition. Nottingham Forest did that against us, and we comfortably beat them. And the lineup that we had for that game was arguably the weakest lineup on paper that we've had since the last international break. In terms of the way people felt about that lineup when it came out. We had Jorginho instead of Rice. We had Gabriel Jesus instead of Kai Havertz. We had Trossard starting. And yet, we were far more fluid. And so again, I do think there's something to look at there where, yeah, it's great having, physical, dominant, duel-winning players. But sometimes you just need those technical players that are going to break teams down. And I feel like this season at the moment, we just don't quite have the balance. We don't quite have the balance for it. And Nketiah had an awful miss yesterday. Even the commentator said a striker losing confidence. Yeah. Look, Nketiah is, he wasn't good enough for us. That was why we wanted him to leave. So this team needs a Santi Cazorla bad. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know why that can't be, in certain games, why that can't be Martin Ødegaard. Why can Martin Ødegaard not be the left 8 next to a Rice or a Partey and have Waneri in Ødegaard's role? Why can it not be both of them? Everton were not threatening us. Maybe it's something that we see at some point. I don't know. The thing is, when we have the technical players, then we get bullied. Yes, but being physically bullied isn't the end of the world if you can play through them. And I feel like quite a few times now we've tried to go all-out physicality against physical sides and match them and try and beat them at their own game. And it doesn't necessarily work. It kind of plays into their hands. It creates the sort of game that they want. Thoughts on Rice's best role? He's a great 6, but his physical skills seem so limited. When he's the 8, left side is limited without a left footer. Weird dilemma. No, I think Rice is great as a 6. And actually, especially early in the game yesterday, he was on Saturday, he was pinging balls really nicely. He was spreading the ball. I tweeted about it early in the game. He was spreading the ball early to Saka really well. And then that kind of slowed down, which was frustrating. I do really think we could have gone to a 3 centre-backs with Timber, Saliba and Gabby, with Partey in front and Trossard, Martinelli, Waneri, Ødegaard, Saka and Havertz, with Trossard playing off Kai. Yeah, probably. We probably could have done. Georgie's got physically bullied his whole career. Almost won a Ballon d'Or. Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ødegaard is the true left side 8 in this team. We then need an actual 10. Ethan Waneri. We've got one. If we get a left wing, will Arteta coach out the individuality like Martinelli? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Do you think we still go for Zubimendi next summer? And do you think he'll pick us? Yes, and I'm not sure. The only thing that could stop that is if Man City just go all out for him in January. But yeah, I believe we still haven't given up on Zubimendi. How's the director of football hunt going? Don't really know, to be honest. Don't really know. Nothing's been done yet anyway. Saw Kivior linked with Napoli. Do you think we can use that for Kvara? No, probably not, to be honest. Probably not, unfortunately. Much as I would like to. Anyway, it is now time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I'm going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. And you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. So get your fingers on your keyboards because we are starting now. This player started their career at the Chelsea Academy. They started their career at the Chelsea Academy. They went on loan to Crystal Palace. They went on loan to Fulham. They went permanently to AC Milan. Ødegaard has no power in his run. We need someone who can turn and carry. I do agree to an extent. There are times where he picks up the ball and other players would carry it at pace. Right. Who is the winner? It is James Selder again. Unbelievable. It is indeed Ruben Loftus-Cheek. James Selder has won so many of Guess the Non-Gooner recently. Unbelievable. Ryan Henderson was second. Mark Cucurella was third. Tom was fourth. And TB was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations. Congratulations to James Selder. Very impressive. Yeah, we do still need a new game. Any recommendations for a new game for us to play? Please do let me know. Because we do. We do need more. Thought it may have been Chalobah. Yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. So you were correct. Anyway, look. I'll be live on Twitch later. As normal, link is down in the description for the Twitch channel if you want to come and join that. Otherwise, I'll be live on here at the normal time tomorrow. Other than that, please do like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic evening. And I will catch you either later tonight or tomorrow. Goodbye.